Alright guys, that's Kremp again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. OpTic continue their preparations of what will be a crucial split as they intend to move up the CDL standings and at least make sure they are comfortably going to be making it to the World Championship. And Skyz, their new recruit at least before, who came into the team a few days ago, says that he reckons he's playing the best COD of his life right now in many regards. Is this going to be enough to get over the line? It's nameless, right? This OpTic team are just scrim merchants. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Starting here, Gentlemates confirmed yesterday Priestahh has gone to the bench. So they're keeping players on the payroll, on the bench. Lynz is benched. Priestahh is benched as well. These are options that they may want to bring back in at some point. I like the way that they describe this as part of our ongoing Call of Duty strategy. You wouldn't think there's much strategy involved with a lot of their decisions recently, but still, that's what they say. We regret to announce Priestahh has been benched, effective immediately. Thanks for your commitment. And, well, as Javed says, coach of the team, thanks Preston for everything. Made history together, of course, won the World Championship on the subliners. You'll always be my forever teammate. And, well, is he going to come back? It's difficult for Priestahh. He's had a tricky couple of years. He was in this team, out of this team, in this team again, and now he's out of this team again. What's the next step from here? I don't want to say that Gentlemates are exactly Paris Legion, but in some regard they might not be too far off. You're off of that team. Difficult to really see where the next steps could lie. Would Priestahh go to challenges? It's not an impossibility. Should he go to challenges? Does he have enough kind of remaining clout in the scene that if he does take a year off, let's say Kenny takes a year off too for the rest of the season, comes back next year, you know, no doubt Kenny's going to get picked up somewhere. Is that true for Priestahh? You know, it's a question mark, as he says. Couldn't figure it out with the team. Know what I'm capable of. Haven't had the chance to have the same team for more than one event for the last year, and this year as well. Been super hard to catch flow, so sorry to the fans, always looking forwards. So, and Priestahh says, yeah, sure, I was playing bad, but there are plenty of other factors in play on that team. Priestahh wasn't playing well. Was the difficulties on that team his fault? Like, you know, certainly not entirely, and wishing him the best going forwards, of course. Quickly on the OpTic HyDra stuff, because Kaysen ran a tournament last night. Pretty notable one at that. The showdown had Space Station there, FaZe, OpTic, and Shopify Rebellion, some of the key favourites for the upcoming Halo season. They introduced as well this, like, search and destroy mode. I know that aBeZy tried to watch it for a couple of rounds and were like, yeah, this isn't, it doesn't really work in Halo. But, you know, obviously you guys will have your perspectives on that. But it's obviously notable, right? Because Formal, he put this team together. Even after last year when they had so many second places in a row, Formal said, yep, you know, we're going to blow it up. I'm going to try and get the team effectively that won the World Championship to join me. And so far it's looking very competitive on the upper echelon of the Halo side. The reverse sweep actually came through here for the team in the winners final, with OpTic eventually winning this one 3-2 over the Shopify Rebellion to get through to the grand finals. But then having made the grand final, there was no advantage for the winners side. Now, this was obviously a controversial decision. It's also this way in COD nowadays, right? And I don't really know, well, in Halo, they've always been a little bit more traditional, where if you make the grand finals, it will always tend to be a double best of 7, or at least a double best of 5. As in, if you've not lost yet in the tournament, you make it to the grand finals, you've got to lose twice in order to lose. That's how it used to be in COD back in the day, and that's how it's typically been in Halo up to this very tournament. In COD over the last few years, they've preferred to say, well, if you make the finals, you know, then it just becomes single elimination. The team who won the winners finals gets, you know, the veto advantage. What does that really mean? You know, there are some questions on that. It's obviously a matter for debate whether the winners team should get a substantial advantage or some sort of advantage or really no advantage at all. But in the grand finals in the end, a best of 7 with no reset, OpTic lost this in 7 to Shopify on the Origin Slayer. And like banger series, but controversial one for sure, because OpTic would typically expect after losing the first set in the best of 7 that they would get another chance, but that was not how it was here. So Kaysen says, congrats to Shopify for winning my Halo Showdown tournament, banger of a series, Halo's super underrated, and you know, Kaysen continues to do fantastic stuff for the esports community. But he was asked, okay, why no advantage for winners? And he says, one day tournament, everyone knew about it over a week ago, HCS made the rules. Let's not complain about everything. So, you know, as he says, like, you know, the league, I guess, made the decision. I guess as a one-day tournament makes sense. I guess hopefully they keep it, because like in COD, I'm not sure I actually really like the double best of 5 that we used to do, because you know, people forget the fact that there were so many very boring finals where the winners team would just win 3-0 and it would be over immediately. I like the idea of having a longer finals, you know, a best of 7, a best of 9. Do I want a double best of 7, double best of 9? Sometimes that can go the other way. So I actually don't hate the way, hot take, that Call of Duty currently does it. Although I do, certainly if I was a player, I think I'd feel differently on that one. So I like the fact that Halo keeps it a bit more traditional. But intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. And as Formal says, appreciate Case overthrowing the lamb regardless. Good way to get into the season. More Halo to come, but you know, watching Halo Infinite again, I'm not gonna lie, is a bit of a chore for me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Let's talk COD. Boston and Toronto, they were the two scrims that Shotzzy played, and OpTic of course, last night. And speaking of these teams, these are where they looked at this stage, right? Because I think Boston, they finished, well, were they top 6 in the end? Yeah, top 6, because of course, they beat Thieves in the first round. Then they bowed out of the tournament. Their search, pretty good, 7-7. Their hardpoint, pretty damn good, 9-10. And they played good teams this stage. They were playing competitive opposition. And even when they went out of the tournament, they lost to Surge, they lost to Toronto, right? Those are the two teams that Boston lost to. So they've not had any layup series lately. And they played a pretty good stage. Cammy turned it around big time, especially his search and destroy, which was frankly quite woeful at the start of the year. He turned that around. Snoopy, I would say, was probably their best player. Okay, in terms of the Lion Man card numbers, you might not see it, but I think in terms of impact and even in search and in the respawns, Snoopy was the best. Purge, to be honest, kind of did his job, but actually this stage it was Awakening who was pretty lackluster. Certainly his search and destroy was quite woeful, and his control, a game mode where you'd really expect Awakening to deliver, it didn't happen. So yeah, he's been playing better lately. He's had a couple of notable Skyline hardpoint performances, but I didn't expect there to be such a discrepancy between the stats. I know that in terms of overall KD, it's probably not drastically different, but in terms of what you might consider impact, Cammy really turned up this stage, Wake did not necessarily. So if you're Boston, you're probably not going to make a change, but you know, you've got to be thinking it's on the verge of needing to happen if you're really trying to get to the next level. But you know, they're still in the hunt of making the World Championship. I think they will make it. Their problem is their control, right? 2 in 9 in control, that's really what's let them down, and it was maybe a similar story against OpTic last night in scrims as well. On the other side though, Toronto had a pretty banging stage. They finished 3rd, and the way that their team plays, I mean, wow, they have some serious pace, and these numbers are pretty spectacular, right? JoeDeceives has been a monster, and in scrims last night it was true as well. I'm going to say it to you guys again, what I heard back in Madrid at the start of the year, that in scrims, these guys are often the best team in the game. At least some teams see it that way. That maybe, you know, nowadays it's different, right? But like since the start of the year, this team has always been disgusting. They've just not always put it together in the matches. And Joe has, like, he just keeps getting better and better. CleanX was good this stage. Beans, like, his KD is basically a 1 flat. But in terms of damage and impact and stuff like that, you know, he's certainly been up there. Insight's been a bit weaker, sure, but I actually think he had a pretty decent stage, and it's difficult to have a 90+ rated card when all of your teammates do. So I think this seems to be pretty satisfied with where they are. Their search was, again, the big difference maker. The control was pretty good as well. In the end, it was 3rd after losing to Surge. So last night, OpTic played those two teams in scrims, and they split maps with the teams overall. I think both of those teams are pretty good, and in many respects, the results might have been what you'd have expected them to be. They played Boston, it was 5-3. They won the hardpoints 3-2. They won the controls 2-1. Again, notably, they won the protocol here. They lost the vault. They won a really close Skyline, a map that, as we know, Boston and Awakening kind of like. Red card, though, they actually nearly got 100-point clubbed on, which is certainly notable in terms of, you know, which vetoes OpTic might take with the new team. They don't really like playing a lot of red card, OpTic anyway, so maybe they'll lean against that. In control, it was maybe a pretty similar story to what we typically expect. Boston are not a good control team. OpTic 3-0'd them on the Hassie, 3-0'd them on the Vault, 2 maps that OpTic like. Obviously, it's a different OpTic now, really, right? Like, you know, no Preds, no Kenny. It is a different feeling team, but still, it's still OpTic, and they're still going to have some of the similar preferences that they previously had. And obviously, they played with Hook earlier in the year as well, so they know what that's about. And then they lost the Protocol 3-1. So pretty much what you might expect from a scrim series against Boston, I would say. A couple of more comfortable wins, couple of, less comfortable wins, as it were. The Ultra series then got pretty interesting as well. This was 3-5. This, to me, was maybe a little bit more impressive in some regard, just because of how good, Ultra are right now and how, dominant the victory that they had against OpTic was back at the Major. To be fair, the maps that OpTic lost, 250, 167, 250, 182. They won the Skyline by 50, which was pretty good because, this is a map that Toronto do like, but I think they had a lead here and kind of squandered it. This time they lost the Protocol and then they won the red card. So, I'm sure OpTic will be trying to figure out what maps they want to play and what maps they don't. They lost the Hassi 3-2, they won the Vault 3-1, then again, they were losing the Protocol and it came to an end. So, those are the scrims. I'm not going to dive into everything in great detail today, but over the last few days, I think OpTic have certainly made some strides. That's the type of result on the day where the team will say, yeah, that was a good day of scrims. They went 8-8 in map count. They didn't demolish the other team in map count, but I'm sure they'll feel like they learned rather a lot, and they played some pretty good teams in the process. Nameless did give his thoughts on this as well, though, and says that, look, a team with Hookon, often, when you end up playing them in scrims, it can be pretty terrifying. So, look, time will tell whether OpTic can convert some of what seems to be good performances and development in their practice into actual CDL matches. And Nameless is of the opinion that, well, the jury is out. Until we see it, then, we'll have difficulty believing it maybe. And I'm sure that OpTic fans kind of feel the same way about, because it was the same thing when OpTic dominated online, then they went to the Madrid Major, didn't do so well. Many OpTic fans are like, okay, look, want to reserve judgment until we actually see them play, at least in the qualifiers, coming up in a few days' time, the upcoming weekends. Now, a couple of clips I wanted to share, certainly from Shotzzy here, but also from Skyz. He was talking about his own gameplay, feeling confident in his own performance, and even Scump says the best of what he's seen in scrims over the last few days. He thinks that Skyz is playing some really good cards.
He wasn't even under contract. Yeah, Kyler could have technically joined anyone. Bro, Kyler had offers from fucking everyone and their mom. He just didn't take them. I'm not going to speak for him why he didn't take him, but yeah, he just didn't take him. Kyler didn't know, we were going to make a change. He literally had no idea. I promise you didn't. We didn't tell him, yo. Why are you saying cat? No, he didn't. He did it, bro. What? He did have offers. Bro, Kyler, bro, everyone knows, bro, I promise you, chat, everyone knows Kyler's fucking insane. And it's not even about the money.
You feel much confident with the boys? I mean, individually, yes. Even with the team, but also individually, I feel like probably the most confident I've been in my gameplay and fucking, I think ever, bro. My shot's smooth, me reading the map is fucking godlike too, my comms are good as fuck. And I just feel like I've been ripping too, and I've also just been comfortable with everything that I've been doing.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, yesterday watching Bueno, dude, he impressed the hell out of me. And I'm not just saying that because he's on our team, but dude, Bueno's POV yesterday was amazing. That guy, you could just tell the way that he plays. I'm going to highlight it a lot today while we're watching scrims again. But just pay attention. Just pay attention to how Caesar's playing the game, man. Pay attention. Because he's playing great Call of Duty, man. He forces the teamwork. He baits out shots. He plays his life really well. He's been looking good on the sub. I was loving what I was seeing out of Bueno yesterday, seriously.
It's interesting for Skyz to say that he feels like this is pretty much the best COD that he's ever played. The most confident that he's been in his gameplay and himself as a person as well. And I'm sure the team is helping, bringing him out of that, let's say. But also from the flex perspective, he was brought in to kind of flex, running the SMG when it's required. Skyz has done it before, you guys may not remember really, but back in Modern Warfare 19, on the Florida team, Skyz often, I think it was even on maps such as, what was it called, St. Petrograd, when Skyz would sometimes pull out the MP5 rather than the M4, and used it to pretty good effect. So I think Skyz can flex. He's obviously known as a slow iron boots AR, but I think he's done a better job with that. I think always clips like this, people are going to take notes, aren't they? Because they're going to say, well, here we go again. Skyz are saying, yeah, playing some great cards. This is going to be a really good year and the rest of the season. And maybe echoing a couple of the statements we saw earlier on in the season, which didn't necessarily go to plan. But Scump has watched the gameplay. Scump agrees with it. I think I agree that we'll have to wait and see. I think the jury's out to see how good OpTic are actually going to be. Scrims are scrims. Real CDL matches are another thing. Majors, especially, as what we saw back in January, are a different thing entirely. Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
It just looks like this is a scrim team, not gonna lie. Hey.
Yeah, you're rage baiting so hard, dude. Yeah, Ant is rage baiting, bro.
Nah, Ant's in here just pure rage baiting. I love it.
He really is.
I love it.
I'm just chopping up with the
Yes, you are.
boys. Is this
Shut up. I
not a
can
team
hear the
speak?
smile on your face, you fucking prick.
Wait, is this not a team
You're
speak
free to
vibe
say whatever you
score?
want.
you
You're
are
free to say whatever you want,
hilarious,
Ant. You're free to say
You're
whatever you want.
hilarious. Guy thinks he's
Wait.
on broadcast right now.
Hold
just
on,
rage baiting.
yo, wait. Let me ask Sam and Tom though. Were there not teams back in the day where you know it's just about to be a fucking
yeah.
sweat scrim? OpTic is that
of course.
team 100%. Ook? You kidding me?
Yeah, absolutely. Every FaZe scrim I ever had because they're just better online.
I'm loading into a scrim against Ook. I'm like, dude, I shouldn't have had breakfast. Like this guy is fucking zooming.
Every FaZe scrim ever.